I don't have to stand up when walking back and forward. I'll just start this. Okay, this is going to be the basic Firenock Dealer and Enthusiast class, okay? And this class actually consists of 4 main sections. The first section is about understanding of the knot. Most people never believe that there's many different sizes of knot out there in the market. How do you utilize them as a dealer? And also mention how do you use the style, the shape of each style, and how many of them covers. How does each style of knot can do what they're supposed to do, and what the intention of each styles. Firenock actually have 11 plus 1 style, which cover 38 different sizes in the market. And since last year, there's 9 more shapes that comes up. So we're teaching you how to using the current 11 plus 1 style to cover all 38 plus 7. The next thing we're going to talk about is how the arrow concepts, how the insert, outsert components of ours. That means anything on the arrow, anything besides the vein and the knot, all the rest of the components. That's our segment 2. And segment 3 we're going to discuss is the arrow vein itself. How does the arrow vein, working with arrow target concept, will create a better arrow projectile and profile. Those are extremely critical, and I would like to show you how they work so that you have a much better idea how everything interacts to each other. And the last section I want to talk to you is about how do you learn from the first 3 sections to build an ultimate projectile. And then if we have time, we'll discuss into which, of course, the 4th section we'll talk about the how do we use all the different arrow vein tools, the PAPS, the PAPS, and all the rest of the tools. Then we'll discuss about the other products if we want to, like the arrow rest, or if you're really high tech and your shop decided to work with anything, we'll give you the eyeball sight. Okay, that's it. Let's go and discuss. Of course, each section is going to be about 15 minutes long, and then we'll have 10 minutes to do a rest, like a pee break. And then, of course, at 12 o'clock, we're going to have 1 hour's lunchtime, most probably whatever we need. Okay, let's go and talk about knocks. I think you need your own notes. You're going to need them badly.
Yeah.
Okay, go to the last page of your Firenock catalog. It gives you a pretty good idea. First of all, how come there is so many styles of knocks, and why they are so different. And if there is 38 plus 6 styles of shafts, size of shaft in the market, how come we only have 11 plus 1? Let's start with the thinnest, or the most popular. Let's start with the most popular, will be the best. The most popular knot in the entire world is the standard size shaft. The standard size shaft consists of a shaft that is any shaft that is between 0.240 to 0.246. That's 6,000 variants. Give you some basic idea what they are. The ACC 360 without the unit bushing is a 340 shaft. And the second smallest is made by carbon impact. Those are called the fast shaft. Those are 0.242. Then the next size shaft you're going to encounter is the company made by like Carbon Force, which is from PSE. Those are 0.243. Then you move to the most common 0.244. Those shafts are including your Beeman, your Beeman ICS, your Carbon Express, all your Easterns, and then we skip into one. Then we go into one unique 3.0.245. Now those are the ones made by a company like Black Eagle. All the carnivores are actually 0.245. And the last one is 0.246. Now those are the ones that is your gold tip and your victory. Those are the only 0.246. Now, if you look at any other knot company out there, excluding the lighter part, that's minimum 5 sizes. We at Firenock believe that that's too much for any dealer to hold. And how do we maintain and control the S knot in a single size to cover this full spectrum? I want to take a grab this and show you so that you have a better understanding and also a lot of beginning of our design. That's the Firenock S. Take a look from the back side, which is from this side into it. You notice the Firenock is unique that it's not 6 ridges. Everyone is evenly 6, right? And you notice our 4 ridges are actually not perfectly balanced. Any idea why is it so? And let me show you this. By making it this way, we're able to do compression like this. So in other words, these two compression will go in and force the nut to be oval on this side. This nut by itself, without any physical modification, will handle 0.242 to 0.246 by itself. A bone-in S nut can only handle 2,000s. This handles 5,000s. And still maintain absolute consistency. So that now, for example, if you use this nut as a dealer, you can handle people coming with a gold tip. What size is it? It's an S nut. People give you a Carbon Express, it's an S nut. Carbon Impact is an S nut. X-Force is an S nut. Your entire inventory control is much less. Which of course, if you look at our catalog in our book, you can look at that is the reason our list of the S nut is so huge.
Yeah.
Now, since we're at S nut, we'll go with all the detail of why Firenock nuts are so superior compared to others. The next thing you're looking at is the throat of the nut. Take a closer look at the throat. Compared to a traditional design, the Firenock nuts are significantly different in 3 different ways. See a traditional nut, they all like to do the nut like this. Okay? Or they will have a nut that look like this. This is called a double throat. That's called a traditional single slot. And then we also got what Firenock did. We go in and we actually angle this, and we circle this, and we angle this. See the difference between the 3?
Yep.
This actually is what most people do. They slide this into this curve, into this area. Now when you release the string, what do you think is happening to the string? The string is rubbing on either side very badly. And which means that from knot to knot to knot, your release consistency is actually torquing the string. Now then you go to this part. If it touches this area and this area, what do you think it's doing?
It's getting hung up.
Not just hung up, it's going to give you a lot of inconsistency on the environment, how the knot move out.
Yeah.
So the knot is moving, cluck, 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 cluck. It's like moving very badly. Now, and compared to a Firenock knot design, you notice, that's actually a 1.7 degree offset here.
Huh.
And this is an absolute perfect edge right here.
Yeah.
Now what does that mean? They said, the moment when the string go into here, it's now contained by these 2 points. The moment when the string move forward, because of this edge, what's it forcing? You're forcing this entire prong to move both ways.
Spreading it.
The moment you spread, what does it do? It's now getting a clean path of release with this 1.7 degree offset. How many times is the string touching the knot?
Never.
0. And that is exactly what the difference is. What would you prefer to shoot?
When it doesn't touch it at all.
Exactly. And that is the reason. Now, on top of that, we also, unlike others, we are very, very careful in trying to make it absolutely sure the knot is perfectly clean, so when it leaves. Unlike other companies who use different material, we only use one and only one material, the German Bayer Macalon, virgin Macalon. The virgin Macalon have a lot of very important, Richard, we only use virgin Macalons. And not to mention, all nuts are single cavity molded. Do you understand the concept of single cavity molding?
No.
Okay, let's give you an idea so at least you understand what it is. When you got a mold, you can come out, you have multiple cavity. How do you guarantee every single nut is perfect?
All the molds are the same.
Thank you.
Huh?
All the molds are the same.
Can the molds be actually the same?
Yes.
They never was.
Because they never were?
Never
They are now
ever
though,
was.
aren't they?
Because when you make the mold, you can never make them 100% identical.
Because it's a mold.
It's a mold. In human machine a mold.
Yep.
So if all the molds are not 100% identical, how would the nuts be identical?
Use the same mold.
You can use the same cavity.
Yep.
Just like if you bow and have, this is easier to do. You get a mold with 6, say, candy bread figure in it. If you measure every single candy bread figure in the mold, are they 100% identical?
No.
So how would you expect the candy bread to be the same?
Use the same cavity.
Using the same cavity to be the same. Now you get the concept.
Yep.
Now, under this condition, what is the biggest downside using single cavity compared to bone-in who use 16 cavity? speed,
Speed?
and cost. Because you cut chunk once,
Yep.
you got 16. How long you tie the machine if you want, say, 16,000?
A longer
The
time
60
than 16.
Exactly, because it'll be 16 times as long. The machine is the machine is the machine. If you put single cavity compared to 16 cavity, you just drop your production total efficiency by 1600%.
Relative quality and quantity though.
Exactly. But see, we already know that the general public has all the people making basic stuff. It's no reason for us to make the same thing. So we decide to make the best. Unlike other companies, we only use German macarons, which is one of the best polycarbonate. Now when you deal with the best polycarbonate, there was a lot of trick to it. First of all, it's extremely costly. Second, the control of the temperature is extremely critical. Which means that when you flow the polycarbonate through the mold, the first flow is technically giveaway because they are not even yet. So you throw the first chunk away. And most people will grind the chunk and throw it back and go back to the second time. We didn't, we throw that. So if we do short runs, for let's say assuming that we're making 10,000, we will have used material for 15,000. Because when you flow, the first chunk is junk. When you stop thinking it, there's still stuff in the machine that is going to be flowing. So both chunks have to be thrown away. That is the reason, compared to other knocks that you can buy something like 3 cents a piece, the Firenock is closer to $1 a piece. But then, when you hold one in your hand, there's a world of difference.
Yeah.
Alright, that's the basic S knot. Then we move to the Firenock V knot. The V knot is a very interesting knot. It's a go-to 22 size, which means it's a 300 size. When we develop V knot, it's actually a modification of our A knot. Because at Firenock this is our sequence of starting. We started with the S knot first. Then we start with the C knot, which is a crossbow knot. Then we go into the V knot, which is the A knot, which is access. Then we move the E knot and then to the V knot. The reason I go into the V knot because V knot is a not very well-known knot in the world, and most dealers do not understand this knot because it looks so different. But what we have discovered, making all the different knot sizes, you can find out every single fine knot besides the S knot, the knot throw look identical to the V knot. The V knot is a design that we have actually, after the V knot, we go into more study and find out that V knot had one downside. It's too thick on the overall. The moment you are a target guy, you may not like the V knot unless you are a speed shooter. That's the reason we moved to a design very close to when we discovered in the Firenock Access, which is the A knot size. The A knot size throw is why we actually moved into the V knot. That's the reason when you look at a V knot, it looks quite different, but it also has the absolute best release of any knot in the world. Take a closer look at the V knot. See how much thinner it is compared to the S knot?
Yeah.
But you take a closer look. The V knot is also perfectly parallel compared to the S knot. That's a little bit slant. Which means that the moment when you begin to release that moment, the V knot will give you the absolute best release ever. Because it is the same design we use the A knot, the E knot, and also our Firenock Zero. Which means that now you notice in most of the 300 size, that means you treat competition in 3D on the gold tip, 22 size.
Yep.
What's the average weight of a knot? It's about 15 to 18 grain. This is 9.
Yeah.
And the Firenock S knot is only 7. Now the V knot also have one feature very close to what the S knot is. You notice how the grooves opens up differently? And there's only 2 dots up and bottom. That is how it grabs the shafts. Now, think about it. If you take a close look at the V knot, you close your eyes, you touch the V knot, you will know where the left side and the right side is.
Yeah.
If you are really into ultra precision, what's the first thing you do when you put this knot together? You make sure they're all facing the correct side that you want to. So when, just in case there is any imperfection or your style, not the knot itself, but the style of your bow and your string, you will wear this knot identically. So that when you put this knot on your string and say half year down the road, you grab another bundle of knot, you put in your string, guess what they're going to do? Shoot exactly identically. Which is where this system comes in beautifully. Now, the last thing before we go away, we're going to go into the Firenock Y-Knock, which the people who may not in the crossbow world do not understand this knot. This is one of the knot that I made, especially for one company and one company only. And unfortunately, it do have presence in the market, and every single dealer will sell it. You notice this is not a half moon knot, it's actually called a quarter moon. You notice that the quarter moon is significantly different from any quarter moon in the world. First of all, there's two things. The knot is extremely long in the head. The reason is this long because this knot is to fit into currently 2 crossbow arrow only. It's all the Carbon Express crossbow bow, which Horton use, which the older Parker Red Hot use, and by luck, it also fit the Eastern Full Metal Jacket crossbow bow. They happen to be the same thickness, which is 0.285. An ordinary crossbow, the ID is supposed to be 300, except Eastern make theirs 298, and the 2219 is 303. This one happened to be 285. Now, since they are the only one in the world make that size, and they also happen to cut the arrow shafts shorter than normal, because the 22-inch arrow shaft from every company is 22-inch. Carbon Express is 21 3/4. So how do you make up that quarter of an inch?
You're not.
That's the reason the head was taller, is to compensate for that weird pieces. And that's the reason when people talk to me, I'll ask the dealer, hey, I got a Carbon Express crossbow bow. The fact is that no matter what arrow it is, you should be able to use with a moon knock. I don't care whatever people say, capture, full capture, Omi knot, universal knot, the fire knot, Y knot will work on every single crossbow made, with one exception, PSC Type 15, because it requires specialty knot. Okay, now let's go into the more exciting piece of the Firenock knot system, and this is where the 11+1 kicked in. You see the Firenock 0? There is 2 different knots in Firenock 0. This is where the chaos of the industry kicked in. What is the size of a G-knock? Everybody would say 0.166. That is no. Unfortunately, Eastern have decided to make all the injection and AC injection 0.1665. That's the reason most of the knot that you bought in the market fit into AC injection or injection will fall right off. Because they are 0.5 thousandths bigger. And the only one we found work is the Eastern G-knot with the bigger throat. The body is indeed 0.167, which will fit into 0.1665 quite well. And in order for us not to make a brand new system, we actually adopted the Eastern G-knot and modified them to become the Firenock 0E knot, which is the lower one, the second one you see right here.
Yeah.
But original, we make the Firenock 0. We made it based on 0.166. We found out it doesn't fit 90% of the arrows, which consider themselves to be G-knocks. Like Black Eagle, Deep Impact, what's the size? 0.165. What's VAP? 0.165. What's Deer Crossing? 0.165. What's Muddy? 0.165. Nobody is 0.166.
Yeah.
But guess what is 0.166? The G-knot bushing is the only thing that's 0.166. Which means that you use the G-knot bushing with a Firenock 0. It'll be 1,000 too small. Using a G-knot for this will be 0.5 too big. So you can see how screwed up the industry really is.
Yeah.
And you try to find something fit because nobody talked to nobody. We are forced to make 2 sizes. Now this is what the G-knot is. I know a lot of people like like Rod, he used a lot of injections.
Yep.
And now you know why he's having such hard time.
Yep.
It is not because of me or anybody, because nobody talked to anybody. And they all make their own.
Yeah.
Now we move to the next one, which is the Firenock A. Very interesting knot. That is the beginning of the Firenock throat.
Yep.
A Firenock A is a knot that will fit into the Black Eagle Rampage, the Goldie Kinetics, the Access, Full Metal Jackets, MFX, okay? And Why is this nut is what I consider the more ideal arrow shaft size compared to the S style. It is not too thin, it is not too thick. It's just perfect size. So in my opinion, the Firenock A size on this specific 204 size shaft is indeed the most ideal hunting shaft. Because it's being this size, anybody want to make a wild guess how heavy is the Firenock A? Just give you some idea. This is the same as X-Nut from Eastern, which is 11 grain. The Firenock A nut by itself is 5 grains. And because it's the way we made it with the merging macalons. You can see the throat of that is very, very close to the Firenock V.
Yeah.
If we put the two together, they actually superimpose. And that is, we also prove that is one of the knocks a few of our more adventurous customers, had you go to Africa, shoot 1200 grain arrow at elephants with, is that knock. Because that is considered one of the most durable and powerful knock out there. Now, let's get back to the old time of talking about the Firenock V, which is the bigger one for the Golden 22. He also had one very capability that nobody ever imagined we have. Take a look at the Firenock V, how this whole part is how wide that is. It also is one of the knot, you can do a direct hit from the back and do not damage your shaft. So we actually behave like a bushing already. Alright, then we move to the Firenock C and F style, very interesting two crossbow knives. You notice this two Firenock is one of the legacy Firenock, is the first one we ever designed, but it's one of the most capable knife. We know polycarbonate were able to handle about maximum 5,000s without any mechanical modifications. How do you handle 7,000? Because the average crossbow can go from 0.298 all the way to 0.306. How do you span this spectrum in making one knife? Polycarbonate maximum, even with the best engineering, is 5,000. Now we are pushing 7,000 and 8,000. The trick is that two O-ring groove. Imagine this, you got an Eastern which is 0.298. If you put smaller two O-ring on it, you put two medium O-ring on it, you put two large O-ring on it, have the knot changed?
Nope.
No. Now we just provide them different O-rings, they are all covered. That's how we overcome all the various sizes and being a dealer. Do you really want to carry 7 sizes of just one knot for 7 sizes of your shafts? It'll be a nightmare, isn't it? Yeah. Because what happens if you don't sell one? You have this forever and ever. And that's the reason we designed this two O-ring. For the people who love to shoot the F-knot, we made the F-knot in 2008, just to make all the people who shoot the flat knot happy. Yep. And we still maintain the original C-knot, which is the second knot we at Firenock ever made. Huh. Finally, this is now the more stuff that you heard this year, the Firenock DJ and Q knot. The DJ and Q knot is considered one of the most exciting thing in the crossbow industry, because unlike every single knot in the market that is that fits crossbow, it doesn't sit on the knot. It do one thing that no other knot does. It actually grabs the string. I'll give you the J knot, the D knot, where's my boxes of knocks? Oh, right here. and the Q knock. Take a closer look at that 3 knocks. Now I'll go into explain what the difference between the 3 is. The reason I ever go into the D knock is because of the PSE Tech 15. The PSE Tech 15 is one of the unique crossbow because it doesn't have a rail, which means that you actually clip onto a string loop and shoot. Of course, without a knock with a throat, you can't shoot it. So when I was dissecting the PSE Tech 15 D knock, I noticed a few things very interesting. First of all, the knock don't fit right. Because the PSE Tech 15 arrow is a 0.298 carbon shaft, which is identical to Eastern 21, the Eastern carbon shaft. Unlike other shaft, which is 0.300. And you also have a throat that is 0.165, which is quite unique. And you also notice the prong in the front is flat. That is by design, because I like every single crossbow that is an anti-dry fire mechanism. So that prong is to disengage the anti-dry fire. See that right here? That's the anti-dry fire disengage
I
mechanism.
think these are the same, aren't they?
No, one of them should be Q.
They're both Q.
Q, sorry, my mistake.
I was trying to see the difference in them, I couldn't see it.
Yep, you will not see a difference, they look identical.
I need the D, I have the J and the Q.
You've got a J, the short one is the J.
Yeah, I have the J.
Yep. See how much wider
Oh,
the...
yep. I can
See that? With the D throat is a 165 throat. You can see how the D and the Q are only different because of this.
Yep.
They're identical in every single way.
Yep.
But if you look at it minutely, this is actually 15,000 shorter than this because of the throat opening.
Yeah.
So what does it do? That means this one will clip on the string from 0.140 to 0.150. This will clip a string from 0.150, 160 to 0.170. Then all of a sudden, starting 2012, we got a whole bunch of new crossbow coming out. The new crossbow like the Barnett Vengeance, the Matthew Missions, some of the older Strike Zone Striker from Bowtag. They all have one unique features, is that the moment when you push the bow into the string, that's an anti-dry fire mechanism right here. Guess what it does? It blocks this, which makes these two don't work.
Yeah.
So how do you overcome it? I actually have to re-round this whole features of this knock and make this throat special. This is the only knock known to mankind that will handle actually close to 19,000 variants. That's 0.149 to 0.162, which means that it will fit nearly every single crossbow in the market. You either feel a little bit too tight or a little bit too loose, but it will always work.
Yep.
So this becomes my go-to now for all my new dealers who hunt crossbows, because it will work in the Matthew Mission, which is really one of the hottest bow. It will also work in the Vengeance, and if you like the click system, you will even work on the Bowtag. But in the Bowtag, because the string is 0.125, what I tell them to, if you really like how the work behaves, reserve the string to over 0.145, this will click. You say, well, that won't make the bow too high on the boat? No, it will not. Because see, in all the Bowtag boat, there's way too much down pressure on the boat, on the deck of the boat. By doing so, you actually release some of the pressure, and the bow will shoot straight. The bottom line is that it will be consistent, because now you're actually holding onto the string using the same throw. You notice the throw now, you can see it very defined in the bigger ones.
Yep.
Now you know why when a Firenock line goes, Firenock now, clip onto the bowstring, is so secure, and how it actually launches a bow. Because at that very moment, see how we actually enhance this part?
Yeah.
You actually open, and the bowstring will leave the clean release. The clean release is very important, because without that clean release, you can't see what you're doing. And can you guarantee from knock to knock to knock consistency? You lost that already. And that is where the performance was lost. Now, and then now you know the basic 11 styles of the Firenock. And then we also, for all the people who love colors, you can see how many colors we offer. We offer 9 different colors. But Firenock as a core is a lighter nut company. Okay? We actually sell 11,830 combinations of lighter nuts. That's based on 2013 January's calculation. We know we sell more now.
Yeah.
How do you come up with this calculation? That's 11 plus 1 styles of nuts. May not have all the thing. Up to, we have 9 colors of nuts. We have 6 colors of LED. We have 3 plus 1 different computer functions. We have 3 plus 1 different functions of batteries. We have end cap systems, and we have hydro system on top of it. Now, a lot of people may not say, what's hydro? Hydro means water. Firenock is one of the most exciting companies in the bow fishing industry. The Firenock S with our hydro adapter is the only one that will handle 60, 6 feet deep of saltwater for 30 days and still function.
Huh.
How many nuts do you think will survive that?
None.
Exactly. None will. We are the only one. Now, as a dealer, you look at, I say, what do you mean by 3 plus 1? Where's the plus 1 come from? We this year go extreme and actually make the match weight. The match weight, why is the match weight so critical? Because a lot of customers are very serious about their poke and yarn or being legal.
Yep.
So when you use a lighter nut to practice, you've got everything to do. On the day that you go to Colorado, you go to Washington States, no, Washington's fine now. Go to Montana and also Oregon. They say no electronics. You shoot your bow all year long with a Firenock for practice and for hunting other species in other states. How do you get your bow to be perfect? You can't just throw weight in it because a Firenock is so long. In other words, how do you capture the weight of a knot which will be identical to the weight of the circuit? What we have discovered, this is the approach we did. We actually built metal pieces. They are identical in length and weight distribution as Firenock.
Dummy weights?
Not just dummy weights. Dummy weights are easy to do. We did that once.
Okay.
We find out that being a dummy weight is not good enough. Because a dummy weight, as you say, is just dummy.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they bought Firenock and they figured they were able to make their own weight. And they go ahead and what they consider, they now created weight that they think is identical weight to the Firenock system. Except they forgot one thing. When you got something that is this long, and this long, you notice how the weight actually distributes right here?
Yep.
See this too? You notice how the weight here is flared up, this flare up right here?
Yep.
It actually tried to imitate the weight distribution of the Firenock. Because having the same weight do not mean anything until you have the weight in identical distributions. It is like holding 5 pounds here and 5 pounds here.
Yeah.
You're telling me they are the same. What? Because everybody would understand. An arrow, unfortunately, is a long piece of projectile. Putting 1 ounce here, 1 ounce here, 1 ounce here is not the same.
No.
So what you have to do, you have to match it in weight distribution. And that's exactly what we have accomplished. And you can see all this form. Since Rod is your associate,
Yep.
you notice that this piece of metal is identical in weight distribution as the Firenock Zero with the battery.
Yep.
And you also notice that unlike other years, every one of the Firenock will come with extreme short end caps.
Huh.
Have you installed a Firenock before?
Yep.
Now you know how important the extreme short end cap. If that goes, you have no Firenock.
No.
But this is the only thing that we have that guarantee us that when you short a Firenock into anything, it will stay lit. So how important is it?
Very.
Exactly. And you can see all the different sizes. You notice the color scheme. If you use one of Aeroving jig, you notice that when you use the red hook, when you use the gold hook, when you use the black hook, and you notice we do not have green. Why? Because this is odd size. That's the Carbon Express crossbow bow size, which you can cover with a silver hook. But this is unique. So you will not mix up the two together.
Yep.
Because if you do, it will be disastrous. Everything you put in will not work. And we suggest, and being so frustrated with every single super glue in the market, I finally say enough is enough. We'll just make my own. And we did. I spent close to a week with Hanko's, and that's what we come up with. A super glue gel that with a syringe system that you can push into the shaft, no matter how small. You'll put the right amount in it when you push in the shaft. The super glue will stick perfectly with no white residue and dry like you don't believe. It's 33,000 pounds per square inch. That should be enough.
Yeah.
And finally, the circuits. Now you work with the injection circuit,
Yep.
which is the Firenock Zero circuit, which is also in the Zero E circuit, because they are identical. The only difference between them is the knock. All the rest is identical. Now how many circuits did Firenock actually make? Answer is 31. If you look at the booklet right here, the top 8 of them, the computer are interchangeable. The 3 computers are the hunting, the blinking, and the target. Unfortunately, we do not have all these options for the other sizes.
Yeah.
But the hunting Firenock with the BL battery, you're pushing about 6 weeks lit after you fire it.
Jeez.
The target Firenock will auto shut off in 17 seconds. And the blinking Firenock, the moment you fire it, it will stay lit for 6 seconds first and blink minimum for 21 days. The difference between other company and ours is that we actually have a full fuzzy logic microprocessor in ours. It's a 1-bit 2500 transistor microprocessor. Since we are doing technical and tour training of Firenock, this is what Firenock Lite works. Imagine this, in 1 second, we cut the 1 second into 10,000 sectors. And we light the Firenock every 10 thousandths of a second. So, how many times Firenock lit in 1 second? Exactly 1,000 times. But how much power you use? 1/10.
Yeah.
Since it's a fuzzy logic computer and you rely on a 3.7 volt, as the temperature drops, what happens to the microprocessor? It slows down. So instead of doing 10,000 a second, it may do 5,000 a second. So how many times the Firenock lit? 500 times. If you drop down to something like -3 degrees, you only blink 100 times. If you use that with a BR battery on a Firenock HR circuit at -3 degrees, you want to make a wild guess how long a Firenock will lit at -3 degrees with a BR battery?
How long? 2 weeks.
366 days and going.
Jeez.
Which is no other company can remotely imagine that.
No, my Luminox are dead after an hour.
And the Firenock blinking circuit is a very different circuit. The blinking circuit is not the same as the Firenock hunting circuit. You actually blink. Imagine this. On the blinking circuit, is that you find 2 seconds. You cut 2 seconds into 10 sectors, which means 5 sectors per second. The Firenock blinking circuit do one unique feature, is that it will charge itself for 9/5 of a second and burst that in 1/5. What does that do? Why do we do that? And what's the benefit? This is what we call our crossbow and our turkey knock. When you hunt turkey, what happens to the arrow? It goes straight into the grass. See that? You will see the flight. You go into the ground. You stay lit for 6 seconds. Look at that. It's piercing now. That blink you see is only 1/5 of a second. And you blink every 2 seconds. What's the benefit of this piercing light? It will go through 8 inches of snow and 1.5 inches of grass. That means when you do this, You can see still the light coming through.
Yep.
And if you do this, it will go through meat of human by one finger thick.
Yep.
You think you won't find this back? You're really in bad luck. That's what the Firenock blinking circuit does. And same thing, same way to shut it. Finally, we want to talk about the Firenock target circuit. Why is the Firenock circuit so important? The target circuit is what we consider the most important circuit we ever made. Because 99 of the people who want to tune their bow, they always, when they are on the hooter shooting machine, or they put it on a hooter shooting machine, or they put it shooting through paper, their mindset is different. Their form is different. And they shoot different compared to they are practicing or shooting an animal. Which means every single error they make in any other form are all there, but they will never find it. But when you shoot an arrow that behaves like this, the moment you shot it, it turns on and it shows you exactly where your cam timing problem, your hand leaning problem, you got a fletching issue on every single shot. How soon you think all your mistakes or bad habit will go away?
Soon.
Very soon. As a matter of fact, every single customer we talk to who had bad habit and trust our advice and shoot a lighten up within 2 days on a target knot, they shall never shoot better before. We are very serious consider making this for the injection too. Because the moment you shoot this, you go into the target, you land the target, you know exactly how good a shot you have, and you know how your arrow flight is. What you're just doing, you are light tuning your bow every time you shoot an arrow.
Yep.
Now when it goes out, what's the target look like? It's a clean target. Because if it doesn't, like every single other lighter company, what does that mean?
Distraction.
You have super distraction. People say, oh, I can still practice with it. No, you're not practicing with it. Because I haven't seen a deer without light on it yet. And I've never seen a target with multiple lights. Which makes this the only lighter knot in the market that is sanctioned in ASA, IBO, and any 3D competitions. Because it will not distract the next shooter. But it gives you the absolute perfection to see where you hit. And now you know why it is 17 seconds. Because after you shoot it, it takes 3 seconds to step on the plate. Next guy takes 2 seconds to walk close, 3 seconds to step on the plate, pull the bow, aim, it's over 18 seconds. This already goes out. Now in the S size, which means that the standard size, which is the hunting, the hunting, which is H, the I, which is intermittent, and the T, which is target, will fit the first 8 of them. And that is where the Firenock system go by.
Yep.
Then you notice all the Firenock naming system is actually based on 2 characters. If I tell you I got a knot that's SC, what do you think that would be? Is S style in clear. Now if you see a circle that's a HB, you can pretty much know that it's hunting in blue.
Yep.
So the moment you understand the scheme, it's very easy. But then we run into trouble when we go into the Firenock narrow system, which is the Access and the Epic system. They are smaller than a 246, but they are not as small as the Firenock Zero. Then we still have hunting and we still have target for them. So we have to play with sound. So the narrow hunting, with that reason we put N for narrow. And then we say K for the thin target, which have the same function as hunting and target. And finally the Firenock Zero. The Zero circuit is unique. We don't have anything for it. We don't even sell the circuit separately because this is too new. It's only out there for 2 years. And that's exactly why we leave it as is. We'll use it. We only sell them in the Firenock Zero pack, which is the 03E or the 03E.
Yeah.
And this year, we want to make our dealers and all our customers a little bit more easy to deal with the Firenock. You can look at page 4 on the catalog. Every single Firenock pack now have been renamed. In the old days with the S3, people don't know what it is. They know it's S-style 3-pack. But a lot of people don't understand what the rest of it. That's the reason we renamed the system. The first character is the style of the knot. The second character is actually the number of computer circuit you got. The third and the fourth number, if the character exists, is the function of the knot. The last large character is the color. So if people say A3H-R, That means it's an A-style 3-pack hunting in red. And if they look at the S6 HTR-L, that means it's S-style 6-pack hunting and target in the color of red. And then another big thing about Firenock for 2014 is that we no longer including any match weight for our standard pack because the bows are getting too fast. Every single Firenock will come standard with extreme shock end cap in the standard pack. Those are no longer an option, it is standard.
Yeah.
Which means that we can no longer afford to include the match weight, but we do one step better. If you look at page 5, every single match weight now, including extreme shock end cap, the extended match weight, and the knack. So, for the customer who want the pack, this is the way they buy. They buy the basic on the left with the basic on the right and choose the battery they want. Now most people say, why do you have so many batteries? Why so many different batteries? It is the same thing asking people, why do you have so many clothings? Because you have different situations and different needs.
Yep.
Would you go to Alaska with the same jacket you go to Africa?
No.
Then why would you expect them not to do the same?
Exactly.
That's the reason we actually make three different batteries. Most people use the BL battery because it's a 3-year-long shelf life. You handle from a 4 degree to 180 degree. Negative 4 to 180 degree, which will cover pretty much majority of the situation.
Yeah.
But what happens? You want a battery that lasts longer. You want a battery for backup. How does a batteries with 200-year shelf life sound?
Great.
That's exactly what we got for BU. That is the battery made by Panasonic. It's 100% sealed. Except the power is weaker, but you have a 200-year shelf life. That means if you go hunting as a guide or as anything, you got 3 or 4 packs of them in your backpack. You pretty much will guarantee the rest of your life you need a pack of battery, you got one.
Yep.
And it will function. What's the value of that? Tremendous as a guide and or as a dealer.
Yeah.
But at the same time, do you really want to use that? You got a backup stove. Do you really want to use it to cook every day?
No.
No. You want a good stove. But then, of course, if you want to fry your turkey, you want something powerful.
Yep.
That's what the Firenock BL battery is for. The BL battery is only offered from August to December, if it is available. Because it's a superbly volatile battery. That battery will have 30% higher power than the BL, and the BL is 30% higher power than the BU. Which means the BL battery is close to 50% higher power than the BU. The good thing about the BL battery is that it can handle as low as 17 below. But in the 80 degree and above, it starts malfunctioning because it starts to boil. At 100 degree, you must not forget it. So you can see that is how the entire Firenock system together form it. And just for your information, see the lower part? This is what the Firenock hydro system look like.
Oh.
This concluded our first section of the Firenock nuts.
Yeah.
So, enough info? You will shut